What's up guys, Chris from Review Cave here, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about how World Trigger's new season was honestly the best possible way for them to return. Now, for those of you who did not know, World Trigger is a manga in Weekly Shonen Jump that after a couple of years of publication had to end due to the creator's various health issues, and over the past few years the creator has come back and has started doing this manga monthly. This of course meant that the anime had to end off on a honestly pretty teasing cliffhanger due to the fact that they were about to enter a brand new mini arc in between the B rank wars. Now, the anime originally aired back in 2014 and it only ran for about 2 whole years with only one kind of boring filler arc before the final arc that started with the B rank wars back in 2016, which is when the last episode was aired. However, we did get confirmation back in 2020 that the new season of World Trigger was going to be adapted, and I was really excited, so excited that I honestly started to read the manga until I realized that the second season was coming out at the very start of winter 2021. So I was like, you know what? I can wait for the anime and then I'll start the manga right after Season 2 ends, which Season 2 is, I believe, 12 or 13 episodes long, and we're already about a third of the way through. Now, this was the best possible way for them to start off this brand new season and bring back the show from like a 5-year hiatus. Things that I think really helped is the new opening for Season 2. The new opening, which I think is honestly really great, starts off with just a bunch of flash silhouettes of all of the top agents in Border to some of the side characters, with that sequence ending with Tamakoma Branch Team B, which is Yuga, Osamu, and Chika's team. And then we cut off with, and honestly, one of the things I like about this opening is that aside from that, we actually get instances from the very first season flashed throughout the entire opening in the updated animation, and it looks really great. It almost looks cinematic in a sense with how it is, showing the changing points in people's lives and origins of everyone, as well as some flashes from the arc in the middle of the first season with the attack from Afto Crater. And I just really love how we get pretty much a good amount of love for all of the characters in the show. And it's just nice seeing these iconic moments from the first season just redone in updated animation. Toei's doing a really good job. Aside from the opening, which is also pretty catchy and also helps remind you what happened in the first season, which again is honestly pretty perfect because it doesn't spoil anything from this season at all. Okay, so just in case you don't quite remember, here's all the important stuff that happened in the first season, as in like a kind of montage way in this opening, which I know a lot of people like openings so that they can dissect them for like potential spoilers or clues on what's going to happen in the season, but the most spoiler thing that they would do is just show us the faces of the enemies in this arc. And I think that there was a pretty smart choice considering that this was brought back after 5 years, and you won't really expect people to remember everything unless they have recently watched the anime or reread the manga before this current arc has started. And aside from the opening, the very first episode is actually more or less a recap of the final episode of the previous season, whether it be just everyone just being in positions for an attack, getting ready on standby, and then Jin getting his side effect to actually see the future in the oncoming attack, and everybody getting ready. And the last season ended with essentially, I believe the name of the enemy nation that is attacking is Galapala, I think. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Them attacking and getting right onto Border's base. And that's how the season ended up ending. So the first half of this first episode is more or less that last episode just recapped in basically the same fashion, maybe a little faster, with us getting some glimpses of the enemy in their ship as they're about to reach Earth. And then we get on to the actual content that we were missed out on from the anime ending. And what an explosive start to a season, because I liked World Trigger's animation. The very first few episodes were okay, but as it went on, the anime was just really stunning. I loved the fight scenes, I loved the triggers and the battles, and even the story that was being told, and the characters just became really great. This new season, not only giving us what we loved from the characters that we saw in the first season, but also showing us some of the best action in World Trigger to date outside of that one arc with After Crater's attack on Earth. And we get to see every one of the characters that we've seen in the first season that isn't, with Yuma's team, basically doing everything they can, using all of their techniques, all their movesets to take on this large enemy that is seemingly endless. They got like hundreds of Troyan soldiers attacking their base at once. While it is nice to see like some actual strategy going into defending their base, it's nice to see like some of the more supporting characters or some members that usually fight with their own teams fight and team up with people from other teams in order to take down these enemies. There's even a point where one of the enemy trigger users actually like shifts control and is able with some of the Trion soldiers and is able to freely control it and make it so that it fights, you know, with a strategy, like if it's alive, it has a mind and stuff like that, which makes it a pretty decent challenge for a lot of the enemies. Meanwhile, you simultaneously have those attacks going on with some of the snipers trying to gun down a bunch of the more fodder-based enemies that were converging on the base. Then we have like the most important fight of them all inside the base and the hangar, where the top 4 attackers of Border are protecting their expedition ship from the enemy commander in his right hand. And I just like seeing that these 4 characters fight together. Just seeing Konami, Tachikawa, Kazama, and Murakama just team up and take on 2 pretty powerful enemies at once is honestly really nice, and the fight choreography is nothing to slack at. Plus, it's honestly the interactions with these different characters that really gets me invested in the show, because aside from the fact that you haven't seen any of them like team up as a team at all, and the fact that basically a lot of these teams and Borders are supposed to be just all-rounded with people that use different types of weapons and fighting styles to kind of cover each other's weak points. But seeing a team just with 4 of the attackers, 4 of the top rank attackers mind you, taking on the enemy commander and his right hand so that they can defend the away ship for their away missions. And despite the fact that they have their own ways of fighting without their teammates to kind of back them up, but that is kind of balanced out due to the fact that Murakami is more or less an all-rounder, since he is very skilled in using both a sword and a shield and can move very quickly to defend his allies from oncoming attacks. And Konami can also use a shooter skills like Meteor to basically do long-range attacks when she needs to. So it is nice that the fact that even though they're like the top 4 ranked attackers and that's what they're best at, they do in fact have their own fighting styles and have learned other methods of attack and other triggers to use to help cover for their own weaknesses. I mean, we've seen this from the last season, but it's just nice to see these 4 specific characters, the top ranked attackers, just team up, take on a strong enemy, and even get the most kind of reckless way of winning in the end that ends up paying off. I'm honestly really liking Tachikawa more and more as I keep watching the show. But within 4 episodes, we basically not only cover this whole action-paced arc, which honestly might be my favorite short arc in the whole series, but we're also going to get back to the main cast with the potential of there being more from these new enemies that we've seen in this current season. So there's just a lot to look forward to, and the fact that a 3rd season has already been announced and will most likely come out next year around the same time in winter. So I am just really excited for another season of World Trigger, but I will honestly jump onto the manga once this season does in fact end. Until then, I'm going to be watching this whole season until it concludes, and they'll see what happens next with how the manga is progressing. But yeah, this was honestly the best way they could start off this new season, not only with the opening just being more or less a recap montage of the key events from the 1st season, but also the fact that the 1st episode basically recapped the last episode basically to a T, with just the added scenes of the enemy ship and their attack basically beginning for real in this season, and then having just an episode of interesting character interactions, different strategies, and different action scenes just being enough for me to just keep watching it week after week. But enough of my thoughts on it. What do you guys think of World Trigger's 2nd season so far? Are you excited? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to be updated on future videos. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at the official Review Cave for updates on future videos. And with all that said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you all have an awesome day.